Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Deep Dive Podcast. I am Rogers Harrison. Today, I'm joined by Brian Kaparick. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Rogers. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for asking. Brian and I are going to co-host this episode of Sports Deep Dive Podcast. You ready, Brian?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right.
Hilarious history and buys our plays. We've got the stories from the glory days. Don't just watch the scoreboard, know the game. Be the smartest person in the frame. Sports Deep Dive, give him something more. Sports Deep Dive, give him something more.
All right, Brian. It was September of 1961, and the Texas Gulf Coast was bracing for impact. Hurricane Carla, a monstrous Category 4 tempest, was barreling straight toward the small town of Alvin, Texas. Now, inside one modest suburban home, a 14-year-old boy was frantic. He wasn't worried about his school books. He wasn't worried about his bicycle. He was thinking about his business partners. 14-year-old boy thinking about his business partners.
Okay.
All right, so this was no ordinary eighth grader, Brian. While his classmates were playing tag, this boy was working as a commodities trader. At just 8 years old, he had taken his meager savings and rented a patch of overgrown pasture from the local VFW chapter near the rodeo grounds.
Okay.
He bought day-old unwanted dairy calves, bottle-fed them back to health, raised them up to 400 pounds, and then flipped them for a profit.
Smart kid.
By that fateful week in 1961, his backyard empire had grown to 8 commercial beef heifers.
Wow.
As the hurricane winds began to howl and the rain slashed sideways, the boy made a desperate plea to his parents. He couldn't leave his investments out in the elements to drown. Somehow, using the pure force of his earnest nature, he convinced his mother and father to let him march those dripping, terrified calves right through the storm. Install them inside the family's residential garage. Now, for you, Brian, you have no space in your garage.
No.
Because it is your work area.
Yes, and it is overgrown with projects.
Right, as your wife likes to remind you.
Yes.
Yes.
And, fair enough. Especially like right now. I mean,
right.
I'm just looking around and I can see, 8 or 9 projects.
So if you were the father of this boy, you would have had to say, we can't do it. But the father and the mother of this boy said, yes, we'll do it. So for 4 agonizing days, the storm raged outside. The boy lived in that garage. Twice a day, he shoveled manure and laid down fresh bedding, keeping his calves alive by sheer willpower.
It's dedication, man. Dedication.
His parents tolerated it that one time. All right, but as the boy entered high school, a new storm arrived. His sports coaches noticed something about him. He had grown tall, and when he threw a baseball, it didn't just fly, it hissed. The athletic department laid down an ultimatum. The cattle business was consuming too much of his time. If he wanted to play, the cows had to go.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, he's put his heart and soul into this business.
Yeah. So what do you think he did? This is the Sports Deep Dive podcast.
Sports Deep Dive, I think he chose baseball.
Heartbroken, the boy sold off his herd and traded his cowboy boots for cleats. He would focus on baseball, but there was a problem.
Okay.
The boy didn't actually know how to pitch.
Okay. He could just throw hard.
Yeah, he could throw. Yeah. So in junior high, he could stand on a football goal line and hurl a softball over 100 yards, 30 yards further than any other kid. But a baseball, He had no control over it. In his sophomore and junior years at Alvin High, standing 6'2" and weighing a scrawny 140 pounds, he was a walking hazard.
It sounds like my pitching career. It's hilarious. I could throw a ball from the plate to second base with dead accuracy, but when I tried to pitch, I was a hazard.
He threw so violently and so completely without direction that he regularly broke the phones in his own catcher's hands.
Oh, that's got some stank on it, as they like to say.
I remember, former Braves player Phil Necro, who threw the knuckleball.
Yeah.
And one of his catchers was Bob Uecker. And they would ask Bob Uecker, how do you catch the knuckleball? And his answer was, I just wait for it to stop rolling and pick it up. That was pure Bob Uecker. But anyway, let's get back to this. So opposing high school batters did not want to hit against him. They wanted to survive him. He was a terrifying mix of blistering, ungodly philosophy, and total unpredictable wildness. Most Major League scouts took one look at the lanky, wild kid and walked away.
Yeah, because if you got no control, then they're not interested.
Yep.
They don't care if you can bring the heat or not.
The consensus was clear. The boy was a thrower, not a pitcher. The only way he'd ever see the inside of the Hall of Fame was if he bought a ticket. Ouch.
Pretty rough.
One day in April of 1964, a legendary scout for a brand new struggling franchise named the New York Mets took a random detour off the interstate. His name was Red Murph.
Okay.
Now, Red stood behind the backstop, heard the ball hit the catcher's mitt like a muffled rifle shot, and nearly dropped his clipboard. The night before, Red had watched the two hardest throwers in the National League. But this scrawny high school kid was already throwing faster than both of them combined. Red Murph began bombarding the New York front office with frantic letters. You have to draft this kid, he begged. The executives at Shea Stadium were incredibly skeptical. Even the boy's own mother didn't want him to sign. She wanted her baby to go to college. To settle the debate, the Mets scouting director flew down to Texas in May of 1965 to see the boy pitch with his own eyes. It was supposed to be his big showcase.
Okay.
Instead, it was a disaster. So that afternoon before the big game, the high school coach had punished the Alvin team for a poor practice by death marching them through endless wind sprints.
Oh my gosh.
By the time the boy took the mound in front of the New York brass, his legs were dead, his arm was exhausted, and his fastball completely lost its bite.
Well, yeah. I mean, half of it is your legs.
The scouting director watched him struggle, shook his head, and left. The boy's draft stock plummeted instantly. All right, I got a question for you. You have been a youth coach.
Yep.
I don't think you've coached at the high school level, though, but you've been a youth coach. And
I've coached high school level boys, but not in high school.
Right. Okay. So the question I have for you is, you've got a game on your schedule. I mean, they said it was a big game, but regardless if it's a big game or just a game. And I know you as a coach, you guys need to pick it up. But doing wind sprints before the game, is that a good idea?
No, and really, like for baseball, wind sprints are not like that's how you'd punish a soccer team,
Right.
not a baseball team, right?
Right.
Baseballers don't run that far for very long, right?
Yes.
It's like a sprint. It's not very far, and then they get a break. So
right.
They
don't, like soccer, which you're going back and forth.
They don't need wind sprints, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to punish a team like that, you're going to punish them in a way that's going to help them be better.
Like do fielding drills or something like that.
Right, or push-ups, but not like enough to kill their arms, but like
Right.
you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
And if I knew a kid had a scout coming, I'm not going to do that to him.
Right.
I don't care. But there's a lot of old school coaches out there.
Well, I mean, this is 1965.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That just didn't. They didn't have that philosophy.
Okay. Well, the good news is Red Murph refused to give up. He staked his entire professional reputation on that wild kid from the garage. He practically forced the Mets' hand. And so, in the 12th round of the 1965 draft, as a 295th pick, total afterthought, the New York Mets finally relented and took a gamble on
Go Red.
it. The boy packed a single bag, took the very first plane ride of his life, and left Texas. Woo. A year later, in September of '66, the green, terrified teenager was called up to the big leagues in the roaring metropolis of New York City.
That is crazy.
Well, the big city lights didn't solve his control problems.
As I wouldn't think that they would.
Worse yet, the friction of generating that unprecedented, ungodly velocity began tearing the skin right off his hands.
That makes sense.
He suffered from chronic, agonizing blisters that threatened to derail his young career entirely. He tried everything. Rubbing alcohol, nail polish, even coating his fingers in kerosene. But nothing worked. Yeah, don't lit up around this guy if he's soaking his hands in kerosene.
I wonder, like, what... I wonder what baseballs were like in '65. You know what I mean? Like,
they might have been made out of real cowhide,
and they might have been rougher.
Yeah.
Than like, but even the stitches on the ball.
Yeah.
If you're throwing like that, and you're throwing that much, could be a problem.
So here's what happened.
Bring it.
So he was desperate, but the team trainer tried an old trick used by prize fighters to toughen up their skin. So the boy went to a local deli, bought a 10-cent jar of green liquid, and the trainer forced the young pitcher to sit on the bench between innings with his throwing fingers fully submerged in a cup of pickle juice.
Salt brine.
Sports writers mocked him, calling him Pickle Brine, and the young man admitted he could smell the vinegar every time he threw a pitch. But it worked. The skin toughened, and the raw power became undeniable. Nice.
Very nice.
So when the boy finally retired from that temporary job in 1993, known as baseball, he didn't head for the golf course. Instead, he went right back to the dirt. Today, he and his wife oversee a massive operation spanning 27,000 acres of Texas ranch land, running thousands of cattle, and operating a highly successful branded beef company. He is, by all accounts, one of the most successful and respected cattlemen in the Lone Star State.
The boy loved his cattle.
Now, if you look him up his name in the history books, you won't find a single mention of his cattle empire.
Probably not.
Instead, you will find a legendary athlete who used that very same grit from the Hurricane Garage to power through a record-setting 27 seasons, striking out 5,714 batters, throwing an imaginable 7 no-hitters. He was an athlete who only threw a baseball so he could afford to buy the land he always loved. That wild teenager from Malvern High became Nolan Ryan.
That's right.
Nolan Brian.
The goat of all goats.
So this, ladies and gentlemen, has been this episode of the Sports Deep Dive podcast. We just talked about Nolan Ryan and all his accomplishments. We hope you enjoyed it. This is our season 2 finale. We will be returning for season 3. We want to thank you for letting us have a season 3 through all your comments and all your likes and subscriptions. If you haven't already subscribed to the Sports Deep Dive podcast, we encourage you to do so. I will be back. Sometimes Brian over here joins me. Sometimes he's too busy with his own projects. But we enjoy it when he does come here. So until next time, until season 3, I just want to say so long, everyone.